Welcome to Discovering Spain Wildlife, Culture, and Travel Insights. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sarah.
Today we're diving deep, using some fantastic travel guides and local insights. We often cover places like Cadiz, Ronda, Grazalema, even the Caminito del Rey. But right now, we're zooming in on the lovely town of Medina Sidonia.
That's right. And Medina Sidonia, it's not just another pretty Spanish town. Our sources show it's one of Spain's oldest. We're talking history, stretching way back to the late Neolithic period.
Late Neolithic, wow, that's like into the Stone Age, right? Before metal was widespread.
Exactly. So super ancient. And over the millennia, you've had Phoenicians coming in by sea from the east, then Romans, Visigoths, Byzantines, Muslims, and finally the Christians, all leaving their mark.
It's kind of mind-boggling, all those layers in one spot. The guides mentioned the Phoenicians were first, then the Romans came along and really shaped the early town.
Yeah, pivotal contributions. And what's really interesting is how the town's name changed over time. It's like a little historical marker itself. Started as Sidon with the Phoenicians. Then the Romanicido Caesarina Augusta. Later, Acidona under the Byzantines. Then the Muslim Medina Sidonia. And finally, the name we know, Medina Sidonia, when it was Castilianized.
Each name tells a story of them.
Pretty much. Whispers of a different era, a different ruling culture.
And under the Romans, it wasn't just some backwater, right? The sources say Acedo Caesarina Augusta, 1st century BC. It was a colony with full Roman rights.
Full Roman rights, yeah. That tells you it was important even back then.
Yeah.
Significant status.
And it stayed important.
Oh yeah, Visigothic period as a provincial capital, even had an episcopal seat, so a key religious center too. You see this pattern, you know? Always kind of important in the region.
Right, makes sense. Then, moving forward, 712 AD, the Muslims arrive.
Yes, and they make it the capital of the Cora de Sidonia. A Cora was basically an administrative district back then, so again, capital status. It kept its administrative weight.
And even after the Reconquista, when Alfonso X the Wise took it back in 1264.
Still strategically vital. It became important for military orders, like the Order of Santiago, Order of Santa Maria. Its location, its history, always tied to strategic value.
Okay, so let's picture the town now. The old town. It's actually protected, isn't it? Historic artistic site?
And a site of cultural interest, yeah. Declared back in 2001, the guides say walking through its streets really feels like stepping back through time.
From the Bronze Age to now. That's quite a span.
It really is. And you can see these layers in specific places, like the Serra del Castillo.
The Castle Hill. What's up there?
Ancient fortifications. You've got remnants of a Roman castellum, bits of an Arab alcazar, and then the medieval castle built later. They're literally built on top of each other.
Wow. Seeing history stacked like that.
Exactly. And then there were the arches. The Arco de la Pastora, that's 10th century, pure Muslim architecture, used to be a main gate into the walled city. You can kind of see its original function.
Cool. And the other one? Arco de Belén.
That one's 13th century, named apparently after an altar to the Virgin Mary that used to be there.
Right.
So these aren't just structures. They have their own little histories, you know.
Right. And the main church, Santa Maria la Mira la Coronada.
Ah, yeah, 16th, 17th century. It's this beautiful mix of Gothic and Renaissance styles. The guides rave about the 15-meter plateresque altarpiece.
Plateresque, that's that
Yeah.
really intricate Spanish Renaissance style, like silversmith work.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Super detailed. And then it also has a later Rococo altar. So you see how art styles changed even within the same church?
Interesting. What about the town hall?
17th century, but it seems to be a blend. Baroque, neoclassical, even some 19th century touches, like a visual timeline of architecture right there.
And the Duke's stables. That sounds intriguing.
18th century, started as a royal garrison, then became a comedy theater, and now it's an exhibition hall. Its use just evolved with the town, kind of mirrors the town's own life.
It's amazing how buildings adapt. So
Yeah.
beyond those big landmarks,
Well, there's the Roman road, found pretty recently, actually, in 1997, stone-paved sidewalks, a 5-meter roadway. Really gives you a sense of their engineering.
yeah, Roman roads are always impressive.
And their plumbing. The guides mentioned the Roman water conduits and sewer system, also 1st century. A sophisticated underground network, stone and mortar for sanitation and drainage back then, pretty advanced.
Definitely. Any other key sites?
The fortress of Torre Estrella. Started as an Arab stronghold, then modified by the Christians. Again, that layering effect, you know, adapting what was already there.
Seems to be a theme.
It really is. Then there's the Casa de la Senrile, an 18th century manor. Sounds grand carved stone entrance, columned courtyard. Gives you a peek into aristocratic life.
Nice. And one more.
The Ermita de los Santos Martires, this one's really old, 7th century, built over a Roman villa. It's got Roman and Visigothic columns, plus a mudéjar ceiling.
Mudéjar. That's the style mixing Muslim and Christian elements after the Reconquista.
That's the one. So in this one small chapel, you have Roman, Visigothic, Muslim, and Christian influences all together. It's a real melting pot of styles.
Incredible. All these places, you can almost feel the history.
Totally. Tangible connections to the past. You can just imagine the different people walking those streets centuries ago.
So let's bring it to today. The town itself.
Oh?
It's not just one center.
No, the sources mention 3 main urban hubs. Medina Sidonia proper, San Jose de Malcocinado, and Los Badalejos. And those are divided into 13 neighborhoods.
Okay. And for visitors, there are routes.
Several. There's the Bull Route, which is interesting. It features the Retinta cattle breed, known for high-quality meat. It actually stretches beyond Medina Sidonia, connecting it to the wider region like Jerez and Tarifa. Shows its place in the agricultural landscape.
Right. And a gastronomic route. Now you're talking.
Ah, yeah. Sounds tempting. Traditional dishes game, meat stews, rabbit, snails, wild thistle, goat stew.
Snails and thistle.
Yeah.
Adventurous.
Maybe. But the sweets seem to be a huge deal. Amarguillas, tortas pardas, yemas, polvorones, piña nuts, and especially the traditional alfajor. Apparently, the recipe is ancient.
Alfajor. I've heard of that. Definitely sounds like a must-try for authentic flavor.
For sure. And for meat lovers, they specifically call out the retinto beefsteak. They emphasize the cattle are pasture-raised, so, good quality, natural flavor.
It's good to know. What about historical routes?
Yep, several themed ones. Roman route, Almoravid and Almohad route, covering the Moorish periods. Castle route, wine route, and a Gothic mudéjar route. Seems like something for every history interest.
So you can really tailor your exploration.
Exactly. Focus on the Roman stuff or the Moorish influence or later periods. They've curated paths for it.
Okay, practicalities. Getting there, sounds like driving is an option.
Yeah, seems straightforward. 3 main routes outline north-southwest, connecting to the bigger highways like the A381 and A48.
And if you don't have a car?
Nearest train stations are San Fernando Bahia Sur, about 20 minutes away, and Redes, maybe 30 minutes. So still pretty accessible via public transport.
Good. And places to stay.
Seems like a decent mix. Historic hotels, guest houses, self-catering apartments. That Hotel Tugasa Casa Palacio Medina Sidonia sounds special, 18th century manor views. Probably a unique experience.
Staying in history.
Right. They also mentioned Posada Alegria and Casa Rural Sidonia for maybe a more local feel, Triperia 25 for style, and apartments like La Casa de la Alameda or Casa La Morala, some with solariums or pools.
Nice range of options and budgets.
Yeah, and Hotel Villeria for a peaceful retreat. Oh, it's something different. Bungalows, glamping, Medina Sidonia. So yeah, lots of choice. Plus, many offer free parking and pools, which is always a bonus.
Definitely. Okay, what about the weather? If you're planning a trip.
Sounds pretty pleasant overall. About 300 sunny days a year, average temp around 18 degrees C. Summers get hot, though average over 31 degrees C, sometimes hitting 40 degrees C plus.
Phew. Need a siesta then.
Probably. Winters are mild, around 7 degrees C. And rainfall seems moderate, about 794 millimeters annually. So generally good for exploring most of the year. Just got to be ready for summer heat.
Makes sense. And finally, festivals. Always a good way to experience the culture.
Totally. Christmas sounds lovely. Decorations, nativity scenes, markets, even a live nativity.
Classic.
Then the Three Kings Parade in January, big deal in Spain. Lots of fun, especially for kids. And the Feast of the Patron Saint, Saint Sebastian, also in January.
Okay. What about later in the year?
Carnival, February or March. Expect satirical parades, music, costumes, the chirigotas, those funny singing groups. Then Holy Week in April, which is more solemn, with the religious processions.
Right. The Semana Santa processions are quite something.
They are. And then in June, the big fair and festivities. Started as a cattle market way back in 1842. Now it includes livestock fairs, Equisidonia and Bovisidonia, plus equestrian shows, flamenco, rides, food, the works. Sounds like a lively time.
Seems like there's always something going on culturally.
Pretty much. It's a town that clearly values its traditions.
So, wrapping up our dive into Medina Sidonia, it's clearly packed with history. Stunning architecture spanning centuries.
And delicious food, those traditional sweets.
Yeah, and a vibrant cultural life with all those festivals. Definitely sounds like a worthwhile stop if you're exploring Cadiz province.
Absolutely. That visible layering of history, from Romans to Moors to Christians, It's quite unique. You get the past alongside present-day charm and hospitality.
It really does make you wonder,
Uh,
with all that history soaked into the place, if those old stones in Medina Sidonia could talk, what stories would they tell?
that's a thought. Imagine the conversations they've overheard.
Exactly. Well, if we've piqued your interest and you want to know more, check out the official tourist information website for Medina Sidonia. We'll link it in our notes.
Definitely worth a look.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us on this deep dive.